Uh, Hello all, a very warm welcome to today's podcast of Aspirations Talk. This is our second episode. In our last episode, we had Abhijit Asokan, the SP of Shamli district, discussing on the different aspects of the UPSC civil service examination. Today, we have with us an esteemed guest, Mrs. Devshree Nain ma'am. She had cleared the civil service examination in 2013, and she's presently working as a joint commissioner uh, at Delhi Customs in Customs and IT, Indirect Taxes. Ma'am, a very warm welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
So today we are at the cusp of prelims examination. There are only 50 days left for the examination, to be
Mhm.
exact. So we'll be primarily dealing with last minute questions, tips and tricks, and how to tackle CSAT for the examination. Ma'am, if I have your permission, may I start with the questions?
Yeah, please proceed.
Yes. So, ma'am, it has been seen in the last few years that primarily after 2020, that the nature of the examination has been changing. There is a lot of variability coming in, and the CSAT examination, the Civil Service Aptitude Test, has been getting a bit more difficult. So,
Mhm.
ma'am, in these last 50 days, what would you suggest a candidate? How much time should a candidate dedicate for CSAT preparation in these 50 days?
Okay. See, CSAT, as of now, uh, what my strategy used to be, uh, 30 days before the examination, the prelims, nothing new should be started as such. It should only be devoted to revision. We still have 20 extra days to go. And what usually people have started preparing a year back at least. So CSAT's concepts and all they must have, learned by heart now. So what is required today is practice. CSAT is an examination which tests you on your speed, and there are multiple aspects like quant, logical reasoning, comprehension skills. At the same time, it tests you with how much speed you can attempt those questions. When we gave the examination, the difficulty level of the examination was not so much, but at the same time, it contributed towards your selection, as in the final cutoff. Today, it is a qualifying exam only, but at the same time, they have increased the difficulty level of the examination. So for CSAT, what is required is practice. The more number of question papers you attempt, the better you get. Sometimes it happens that you know the concept, but in the examination conditions, when you're reading the comprehension, you get anxious. You're not able to attend the questions, even though you know the answers. Had it been you sitting at home and attempting those questions, you would have attempted them easily. But in the exam conditions, there is a tremendous pressure on you. So it is better to attempt as many test papers of CSAT in the exam conditions, exact 2 hours, so that you get used to it. So when the exam comes, you do not get terrified of the questions as such.
Yes. So we should try to replicate the exam conditions at home itself.
Yeah.
And ma'am,
Hmm.
while writing the real examination, CSAT examination, what should we prioritize first? Should we go for the comprehension questions
Uh,
first or the math questions first?
See, it depends on everybody's strength levels. Some people are good at quant, basic numeracy. Some people are good at data interpretation. Some are good at logical reasoning. So it depends in which subject you are good at. Attempt the one in which you are good at least, because that would take some pressure off you. Like if
Mhm.
somebody attempts the comprehension first, so comprehension itself would take time to read and then to attempt the questions. So half an hour of the examination would be gone, and then the person would get panicked ki only comprehension part has been done. So my strategy was to do other parts first, because I was good at basic numeracy and data interpretation, so I would do that first, and then I would go to comprehension and all. So comprehension also, we should understand one thing. There is an optimal speed for every person. Some people read slow, some people read very fast. So you should know what your speed level is. So you need to understand what your optimal speed is, and because sometimes when you read so slow, even then you lose your concentration. And sometimes you read very fast, you're not able to understand things. So understand your optimal speed and then proceed with the comprehension.
Mhm.
So understand your strength areas, attempt those sections first in which you are very strong, and then proceed towards the remaining sections.
Yes, ma'am. Also for comprehension, the answers are not single,
Yeah,
like
eh,
more than one option can be the right answer.
more than one option can be there. So it can get a bit tricky. So instead
Mhm.
of getting stuck in that, it's better that you attempt remaining sections first.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Now, like, ma'am, for the general paper, part one of the examination, for a candidate, how many questions should he or she preferably attempt? Like, is there any set number of questions that a candidate should attempt in the real examination?
See, for any examination, what you need to do is you should go through the, don't get stuck at one question when you are attempting it for the first time. If you know the answer for sure, you keep on reading, write the answers, and then give a second, third scheming through the paper. It's not right to
Mhm.
get stuck at one question and then keep thinking and then moving on to the next part. Read through the entire question paper first. Keep on attempting the questions in which you are very comfortable, you are very sure, and then just tick mark those. And then at least three skimming of the papers are necessary so that you know which, because some questions require a bit amount of time, but then you're able to do them. Some you just get in one instant. So first reading should be the one in which you get just first instant you get the questions right, and then second in the ones in which you need a bit of time of thinking, and then you're able to do it. So divide your time such so that at least you're able to go through your question paper at least three times.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
And then there
And
is one thing.
also,
Please, you continue.
please, ma'am, continue, ma'am.
I was saying that sometimes it happens that you mark the questions, but to fill the questions, it can happen to the logistical issue. Sometimes people do not leave enough time to fill the OMR sheet. So at least every by the time you screen paper once, at least attempt those in the OMR sheet which you have done. Then in the second scheming,
Mhm.
do the remaining ones like that. Do not leave all the questions to be done at the end, because sometimes when you are in a hurry to fill the OMR sheet, sometimes you mark the wrong circles and then you can do not have the time to correct those. So keep this thing in mind. Every time you skim through the paper, fill the OMR sheet. It is a very I would say logistic kind of advice, but this should be done.
Okay. So, ma'am, candidates often do mock tests at home. So,
Hmm.
should they do this test with the OMR sheet itself to have a better practice
Yeah, to have
doing it?
that feel. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, ma'am. And
Because they
also with
forget
regard
this
to the
in the end, then they get a bit nervous.
And ma'am, since we are talking about mock tests, like how much do you advise mock tests for candidates? How many tests should a candidate do before the examination? Is there?
It depends on person to person. If you are motivated enough and self-disciplined enough that you can do it at your home, because right now there are so many test series which are available online and you
Mhm,
don't have to pay for them. And
mhm,
there are question banks also that are available. So if you are self-disciplined enough that you can do that paper in exam conditions within 2 hours, good enough. Otherwise, at least two mock papers in typical exam conditions which institutes conduct, you can do that. I am not a very strong advisory of only the coaching institutions or other institutions. So if you are
mhm.
motivated, self-disciplined, you can very well do that at home. But make sure that those are exam conditions. You
All
have
right.
to do it within 2 hours or whatever the time frame of the exam is. Because I myself did not give many mock exams, but yes, one or two I would give before the paper.
And for each mock test, how should be the analysis be like? Like how much time should we spend on analysis of a mock test?
See, for prelims, it's very easy to analyze. I mean, whether
Mhm,
the question is right or wrong. Analysis is
mhm.
difficult for the mains examination,
All
right?
right.
So mains, I would advise that you should give some examination with other person is there to give you, marks as such. Because of course you can write there are no in mains when the question is there are multiple dimensions to a question. You might be able to cover a few dimensions, but leave out the remaining ones. Who is going to tell you the
Mhm,
remaining ones? Right?
mhm,
So, or you can, if you have a peer group, you can discuss that thing among your peer group, like 3 4 people sit and attempt the same question and see what all aspects you missed or the other person missed. So this discussion is very important for the mains examination. Or if you do not have a peer group, say 3 4 people are not available physically, there are multiple online forums available in which you can do that. or if there's a teacher, because analyzing the question by yourself for means would be a bit difficult. You would not know for sure what aspects you missed out. For prelims, it is very easy. For mains, it's difficult. Yeah.
Also, in the last, maybe say the last 10 days of the exam, would it be better if a candidate shifts to the previous year questions itself because it gives a better flavor of the examination?
Not in the last 10 days, it should be earlier. It's not like in the last 10 days only the question papers should be attempted, because suppose somehow you feel that I'm not ready, it can go the negative way also. You see the question papers only before last 10 days and then you suddenly feel, oh, I did not cover this, I did not cover that. It should not happen. If the person has to see the last year question papers, the time is now. So if something is missed, that portion can be covered. Anything new, anything that can surprise you should not be attempted in the last 10 days or 20 days.
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, speaking about surprises, in this last month of preparation, many institutes come up with current affair compilations, which are useful for the candidates at most of the times. But does this come as a surprise? Should candidates stick on to their own study material and handwritten notes, or should they refer to compilations also?
So see, there are different ways to study. These compilations. These compilations, which institutes come at the year end before the prelims, they are usually the things that are there in newspapers. So there would be candidates who would be reading the newspapers regularly, but would not make any notes as such, because making notes require, another extra effort. So for some people, it is beneficial for because you would, though you are reading the newspapers continuously, you are abreast with the latest developments that are happening. But just to go through in one go, these can prove to be beneficial. But people who have made their own notes, who have done that extra effort of making those notes, it's better to stick to their own notes, because in the 2 attempts that I had given, I had tried all the strategies. I had gone through their material also, and in one attempt, I had made my own notes also. So you would not find much of a difference. So if you have your own compilation, it's better to go through it, because you have written it, you are more familiar with it. It would be easier for you to revise it.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, now coming to the next leg of preparation, the mains examination. Uh, we have 9 papers to write for a aspirant. So it is very much physically and mentally tiring.
Well,
How do you manage this stress, and what would you suggest for aspirants to manage this stress during the mains examination phase?
see, in the webinar that I had taken earlier, there was a lot of discussion on the stress that had we had addressed. So, see, the first part is you have to be mentally and physically fit. Physical fitness can be anything, whatever you like to do, running, you like to do exercising, you like to do yoga, maybe for 15 or 20 minutes a day, but that takes the stress off. And mentally, for me, meditation worked, but for different people, it works, differently. So it is during the last few days, it's very important to, be in that mental frame of mind, because sometimes it can throw you off. Once you attempt one paper, like there are 2 papers in a day. So once you're given one paper, you are very tired and not in a position to, attempt the second or third paper. So it's very important to eat healthy and
Yes.
take 1 hour at least off, in which you can devote apart from the studies. Say you can watch a movie or you can watch a song, whatever that relaxes you, because that would not be a waste of time. That would just rejuvenate you for, your next paper.
Yes. And ma'am, once the prelims are over, we can expect the prelims result after 15 days. And we have almost 3 months for mains preparation. How should a candidate strategize for this mains preparation during this 3 months?
See, you cannot start a mains preparation for during these 3 months. Mains preparation starts a year back, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So these 3 months, you have to revise that. Anything that new that you start within, see, I have seen candidates who are successful. It's not like that you cannot start your preparation within these 3 months. You can do that, but it's not advisable. It's always advisable that you start at least a year back before prelims of that year. So those 3 months you can go and revise because the syllabus is so vast. If you just
Yes,
start
ma'am.
your preparation during those 3 months, it's a bit, difficult. Some people do crack it. There are always exceptions, but
Mhm,
it's always advisable to, revise during these 3 months. Revise, attempt papers, attempt, as I said, in the exam conditions, 2 papers a day because it's very, very exhausting when if you just go and write it one day without
mhm. Yeah.
preparing it, without attempting it earlier, because
Mhm.
as in prelims, mains also, speed matters, because some
Yes.
questions you know very well and you would want to write all the aspects that you know. So
Mhm,
and in that way you would not be able to do justice to all the questions. So you should
mhm.
have a fair idea how much to write, how and how crisp you should write. You cannot write
Yes, ma'am.
essays in main paper. You have to write it in a very crisp way. So these three
Mhm,
months should be devoted to the way you are going to write the answers in the exam. Because
mhm,
maybe you know many things. There are people who know many things, but when it comes to writing, they are not able to concise their thoughts and
mhm.
put it into words in the paper. So it's all jumbled up things that come. So during these 3 months, try and analyze the answers. How do you write? How much have you progressed?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. And also during these 3 months, like in the first month, should we focus more on the optional, and in the next 2 months on the GS papers alone? Should that be a strategy or?
There are not clear cut rules, but I can tell you only my personal strategy. I used to devote time to all the subjects. I would not do optional first, because then for the next 2 months I would be completely cut off from the optional. So I
Yes.
devoted time equally to all the
Mhm,
papers, optional also and GS papers also, throughout those 3 months. Because even if you read like once or 1 or 2 hours a day, at least it keeps you in touch with the subject. Because if you just finish it off once and then pick it up 10 days before the exam, it would be completely, not completely new, but you would need to put in some extra effort. So it's always
yes,
good
ma'am.
that my personal opinion is, it's always good that you be in touch with all the subjects,
Mhm.
so that you
O-
don't lose touch. Yeah.
Okay, so it's better to study all the subjects on a daily basis, so we won't be out of touch.
Yeah, so yeah, I can understand for GS it's not possible that you study polity also, geography also, and history also every day. That's not possible.
Mhm.
But at least if
Yes.
you're studying polity 2-3 days, then next 2-3 days you can
Mhm,
do geography. So that after
mhm,
8-10 days, polity again comes into picture. So like that.
mhm.
Should not be a long break.
Okay, ma'am. Okay. Ma'am, and this question is on personality test, the last hurdle of the examination. Uh, while we are in front of the UPSC board, what kind of a personality do they expect from a candidate? What can fetch you more marks in this phase?
See, it's 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 a test of a person's knowledge, and at the same time, how do you articulate that? See,
Mhm,
their general knowledge and all, everything has been checked earlier, right?
mhm.
Can
Yes.
you give me so hmm. So your written knowledge and everything about the subject that has been tested in prelims and mains. In
Mhm,
interview, what do they look for is it's your confidence and how in general you are aware of your surroundings. So
mhm,
mostly it would be based on the form that you have filled. Mostly they would ask the questions related to the problems of your areas, the area where you have grown up, the area where you have studied. So they want to know whether you are an aware individual or you just have the knowledge that you have gathered over a period of 1 year by studying books and newspapers. How aware you are of your surroundings, how capable you are of solving real life problems. That is what they're looking for. That is one. Another question would be your mostly interest based questions that you declare in your form. So if you
mhm,
declare something as an interest, how pursue, how do you pursue your interest as an at an amateurish level or at a professional level? So based on that they would ask questions. Like in my case, I had written my interest is to read books. So they asked me
mhm,
which book, what authors, and then they asked me
mhm,
why this particular author, why this particular book. So it be thorough with your form that you have filled. If you belong to a very if you belong to a place which is historically important,
mhm,
geographically important for the country, So you have to know all the aspects of the place where you are coming from, where you have studied, and your interests. Those are very important, and your parents' profession also.
Mhm. Yes, ma'am. So they are looking for a well-rounded personality, ma'am.
Well-rounded.
And
But
coming,
another thing
yeah.
is, very important. It is not possible that you know all the answers. Sometimes the questions are very, fact-based. It's not necessary
Mhm.
that you would know the fact-based questions. Do not bluff.
Mhm.
Just if you want to guess, just say, "Sir, may I attempt?" or "Ma'am, may I attempt?" Do I not
Yeah.
do not know for sure, but I would like to attempt. If they say okay, but
Mhm.
do not bluff straight away. It's okay.
Yes.
You do not any question. That's fine.
Mhm.
Just be
Okay. Ma'am, coming back to the prelims phase of the examination, in the last 1 month, would it be okay if candidates skip the newspaper reading part for this month and they can focus more on the revision part?
Yeah, see, yes, because paper has been set, right?
Yes.
So
Mhm.
nothing would
Mhm.
come from the exam in this particular month in the paper. But then there is another school of thought also that you can you lose touch, you keep on reading the newspapers, and then it would help
Mhm.
you later on. So it depends. If you have time enough,
Mhm.
that's fine. Do not have time, that's also all right because the paper has been set. But then you have to catch it up after the prelims.
Yes, ma'am. Mhm. And we can look for a compilation then.
Yeah.
And ma'am, and for the prelims examination, did you personally have a checklist before the examination that you had to reduce your stress?
See, checklist. Serious people, but the serious candidates, I mean, who are very devoted and motivated to studies, they have throughout that year, they have a particular, set pattern of
Mhm.
studies, like morning
Mhm.
1 hour. Some people
Mhm.
are morning people, they study very well in the morning. Some people are night people, they
Mhm.
study. So they have their, set patterns throughout the year. I would say do not
Mhm.
make any big changes to that pattern. Now that is 1 month left, I have to have a checklist and have to study according to that. No, please
Mhm.
do not make any drastic changes. Follow the routine that you have been following. Yes, you may have to increase the number of study hours to,
Mhm.
include the revision. If you have been studying for say 8 hours, this time might for this 1 month you might be required to study for 10 to 12 hours. That
Yes.
would be there. But do not make any drastic changes. Identify what kind of a person you are. Some people are, very the kind of focus they can have in the morning hours, they do not have in the afternoon or evening hours.
Mhm.
I was a evening or a night person. I would study late in the night. So
Mhm.
I have to study. But yes, one thing, for the last 1 month, make a revision plan. Do
Mhm.
not go just randomly. Make a revision
Yes.
plan that this day I would complete this part. This day I would complete this part. Have a particular timetable so that you do not
Mhm.
go haywire. So
Yes.
whatever timetable you have made, but that this particular day I have to finish that. So even if you have to sit for extra hours on that particular day, you have to do it. So that was the only thing. Timetable was there in the sense when to finish what. That I had made.
Mhm. All right. And then for night persons, people who study at night, uh, like, would they have to change their timetable at least in the last week of the examination? Because finally they have to
If
write
the
the examination
Mhm.
during the day.
They might have to, yes,
Mhm.
because they have the habit of sleeping in the daytime. So yes, for them
Yes.
it is a yes. That's right.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, the time has now come to wind up this session of podcast. Do you have any final advice to all those aspirants who are going to attend the examination on June 16th?
Yeah, I would just say just give your best without any pressure, uh, without any sort of say that people have expectations from us. Just give your best, and this 1 month just study very hard. Forget about everything else. Just study. After the prelims exam, take rest for 4 5 days and have fun. But take this 1 month very seriously. And yeah, all the best to everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, thank you so much for taking time off your busy schedule to share your insights and wisdom for the aspirant community. And now, Wiley India would also like to wish all the aspirants to have a very wonderful examination and pass the examination with flying colors. Also, please like, share, and subscribe Wiley India channel on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Thank you for listening in.
Thank you.